Yes, welcome to a special episode of Generation Red. Unscheduled, if you will, because my buddy, Redcast Rob from the Go Big Redcast, is hanging out in the studio. Stopped by because he's in town on business and for the spring game and all that other stuff that might be surrounding it, right?
Yeah, fortunately for me, all business is pleasure, and then I also have the weekend, and hopefully the baseball game will happen tonight.
Yeah.
Looks like it may get canceled because of weather, but if not, it sounds like I can get credentialed for the Supernovas game up in Omaha tonight through Herdad, cool so that'll be super cool. You and I were talking about this before, where I came out here yesterday for some business, and I spent some time at Nebraska Brewing yesterday with Connor of NBNR, and hung out with his family, and put back a few beers, and then I went over to the Herdad sports bar over there, and kind of crashed their staff party at the end of the night. And Aloe Fiber put me up in a hotel last night in Omaha because I was discussing business with all those people. And this has just become an annual tradition of mine to come out here, and apparently the new annual tradition is also getting our golf games canceled, because last year I played with Honky, and I think it was something like
35 mile an hour winds.
35 mile an hour winds. It was sleet. I don't even want to call it snow. And it was probably -5 with the wind chill factor. That was last year. I couldn't feel my hands. I was wearing gloves on. I was actually wearing because I'm left-handed, so I wear my glove on my right hand. I was wearing my right-handed glove upside down on my left hand just to keep my hands warm while I was playing. And then today, it's just, I woke up and looked out the window, and like the flags across the street were going nuts, and the trees were blowing all over the place, and the rain was. So I said, screw it. And I went to my gym that I go to in Greeley, has a location in Omaha, Vasa Fitness. So I went there for a couple hours this morning and texted you and was like, hey, what are you up to? And here we are.
You asked me what country club or golf course I worked at, and I said, well, I work at Hillcrest Country Club, but I'm off today, so if you want to come see the studio, and God bless you, you drove an hour to come hang out.
Well, I'm staying in Lincoln tonight.
Oh, okay.
And I'm staying in Lincoln. And I'm staying in Lincoln tomorrow night as well. I have an Airbnb. I don't know. The neighborhood looks fine. We'll see. There's a garage I can park the car in, so I'm not too worried about it. I mean, it's just me, and then tomorrow night there's a second bedroom, so Honky will come, and
cool.
Hopefully we'll cuddle a little bit or something.
Little spooning.
Oh yeah, but he's been really busy with his new position. I don't know if everyone knows it, but
I think you mentioned
he's public. He is now the director of development for the School of Business at the University of Nebraska for the Husker Fund there, which is really cool for him. I guess he's working now with Tyler Kai's wife, who is, obviously one of the big fundraisers for the athletic department, working for them for the last few years. Good friend of the program of ours, of the Redcast. So, yeah, but being out here for the spring game, quite frankly, it's weird, and I'll have to admit that I have been paying attention, but not as much as I have in the past, because you start a new job and you get focused on that. And then my kids are getting older, so we've got a lot of sports stuff going on, and which now all those games keep getting canceled because our weather here is similar to what's going on in Nebraska. But I'm excited because let's be honest, we've got so many players coming back from last year. Outside of the early announcers of the transfer portal, which went in like in January, the two guys. Who they technically don't count as 2024 transfers because they left the program in November, December, or something like that. So we haven't had anybody transfer out, right? I mean, we're building a roster, and in fact,
we're kind of to the point where we're probably going to have to tell some guys we need to help you find a place because our roster is too big.
Yeah,
especially with the scholarship. I'm not sure where we're sitting on scholarships.
I'm not
sure.
We're
over 90.
Yeah, and
I looked, so they're gonna have to do something by what?
I'm sure they'll figure some stuff out with NIL, and they'll probably work some of the guys out, and we may see a couple guys head into the transfer portal after the spring game for that reason, I think. But let's be honest, the most exciting thing about tomorrow is going to be the quarterback play. I think Rule said it in his presser. That's the nice thing about a 6-hour drive is I got to catch up on a lot of press conferences that I just haven't had a chance to listen to when I was working at home and during COVID and like even post COVID when I was working, like still working from home for my last job, I could just turn them on the TV behind me. And now I'm like out in the field working and there's an office and I just, it's a different life for me right now. So I was able to catch up on those. And, I will say that, man, I could listen to Matt Rule talk all day, every day.
As can most everybody else.
Yeah, and it's like
a motivational speaker.
Yeah, like now, I just want to be clear on something too, Ken, because I know you're coming for me. It is not cut back on my Kool-Aid. All right, I'm actually been working on a couple of tattoo designs of the Kool-Aid guy.
I got you.
Yeah. But it's so easy with him because even if, God, let's say we go 8-4 this year, okay. Even that
50%, it's over a 50% improvement on last year.
Yeah, and I'm going to say that, like, even that, one, we're in a bowl game. Two, a fairly decent one, and two, I mean, it's a winning season. Haven't had one of those in a long time. And three, Rule, this is what he does. Improvement every year. You know what I mean? So we'll have a natty at least by 2025 if it doesn't happen this year. Ideally, though, I mean, I look at our schedule, and I hate saying this about the Big Ten, but it's like, ideally, we could win 6 games before our 7th game this year. Looking at that schedule, sure. Now I hate saying that because the shit show that was Boulder last year. If we had half an offense last year in Boulder in that first half, I feel like that game would have gone differently. Our offense, I mean, football's a mental game
in Nebraska history. So that checks.
But the nice thing is I don't even feel like I need to talk about last year anymore because the only place that there's been any real turnover is the quarterback room, and we still have Heinrich in there, and I'm hot take. I didn't think he was absolutely horrible. I think he was inexperienced. He was thrown into a situation that couldn't be avoided, right? He was the best option. He was a homegrown kid. He's right there. He has a whole year of experience behind him. What happens tomorrow if we come out of this and, Rule already said it's going to be a shootout. So that kind of worries me for Heinrich because throwing was not his forte.
No.
And, running the ball, though.
According to Coach Thomas, though, he's made some huge strides, if you will.
Well,
for lack of a better term.
A kid, the problem that he had last year is that how tall is he? Like 6'3",
6'3", yeah. There. He's almost as big.
He's 6'3", and he was throwing last year like he was 5'9".
Yep.
And so if he can change that throwing motion, get the ball on the release past his ear, up there instead of throwing it down low. I know I don't want to call it a stupid comparison because I think people overreact to it. But when I said that he kind of reminded me of the way he threw like sidearm and stuff like that last year of Patrick Mahomes on that when he's running, he's not as accurate as Patrick Mahomes. He doesn't have the talent, or he didn't have the talent at his receivers at that point to make the catches on a lot of those that maybe could have been made. There was you know what I'm saying? So it's like everything has to work out perfectly. But my point being is just the way that he was throwing. He couldn't change that. Now, Mahomes can make a regular throw. Harburg seemed to overthrow guys a lot, but there was a few dimes that he dropped. I mean, we saw one to Lloyd, we saw one to Malachi, you know what I mean? So there's just a lot of potential there.
I think so, too. I am looking forward to seeing, as best as I can see, what the quarterbacks do tomorrow, because I put it out there on Twitter, and I've talked about it even on past shows. I'm not going to actually be at the spring game tomorrow. Horrible fan alert. I apologize. But
you know what, though, man, you're doing something with your wife, and you two are spending the weekend together. Quite frankly,
look at the palace I'm sitting in that she allowed me to build. The least I can do for that gal is
family first, man.
Do the family thing that we've been wanting to do for 30 years.
I actually had to ask my wife if she wanted me to come home today because my youngest daughter's just been sick. She's had this terrible cough for a couple weeks, like if not like a couple months, it seems like. And then my dad is sick. He had to go to the doctor this morning. And so then, of course, I'm worried about that. And I'm like, should I just come home? Like, what I mean? All this weather's like, and my wife's like, no, just stay, have a good time. And I mean, honestly, like I will drop everything right now and head home if my family needed me. So you are excused. I don't
Appreciate
know
it.
the blessing. I'm
No, that's
Jewish,
okay.
not Catholic.
I'm
So
not Catholic either.
yeah. So there you go.
But, so yeah, we can.
There you go. You are blessed.
I am
How's
blessed.
that? The night
You are
of
a fish. That's
yes.
holy water. Let's try it.
And I didn't burn.
Yes.
Wow. Oh man.
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the conference. It starts tonight and
Okay.
goes through tomorrow. But the wife has given me permission. She's fine. So I wear hearing aids that allow Bluetooth streaming, so I take phone calls with them. I can listen to podcasts.
My dad
all
has
the
those
time.
too.
It's a beautiful thing. And
He's
she
80
said,
though.
You are fine having YouTube TV running in the background and listening to the game while we're in the last couple of sessions.
That's
lunch
the cutest thing I ever heard. I was going to say, now that I have your number and we can text each other,
Yes.
I can also like send you video from the stadium.
Absolutely.
If now cell phone service in the stadium is not that great.
It's got fairly decent
what they
Wi-Fi.
could,
It's getting better.
Yeah, I would love to see Allo get some Wi-Fi in there.
Hey, wouldn't hurt my feelings.
I know.
One bit.
I don't even know how much I get, but like I would love to see a situation where if you're an Allo customer, you can log into the Allo Wi-Fi, there. That way, like not everybody is bogging down the bandwidth.
Exactly.
Maybe someday that'll happen. So I don't know.
It's pretty cool. We've got 4 different Wi-Fi networks set up here because I have an extender upstairs plugged into the wall next to the door going out.
And you got a full gig of Allo running here, which is way more than enough.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I can run every TV, which is streaming TV at my house.
Which we're not actually. This isn't live, folks. This is Memorex.
Yeah, this is so. He can always edit this out because it sounds like an Allo commercial. But we are both Allo customers. I work for Allo.
Doesn't get any better than
Allo loves it when we talk about them live on the air, and they don't have to pay us any. Well, they pay me.
Curious, how much do you think some of the big time guys, like on defense, for example, Nash, Ty, Isaac, those guys that we know are proven, how much do you think they play tomorrow? I'd say they don't play more than 20, 25 snaps apiece.
It's so hard to tell. The way Rule was talking yesterday, he's like, it's football. All these guys, they want to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, to your point, and he's like, well, I think we'll have enough guys for 2 teams. Like you said, we have 90 guys on scholarship. There's probably only like 10 guys in green shirts right now. So let's say that's 80 plus walk-ons. I think that's about right. 20, 30 plays maybe.
Same for Dylan and Daniel, or do you think they'll play a little bit more being young?
It's no contact on the quarterbacks.
Oh, is it going to be no?
Yeah,
he did.
He did say that in the press conference yesterday that the quarterbacks were going to be no contact, which guys like Honky would be disappointed because they went. But let's be honest, we aren't super deep at the quarterback position at this point. 2 freshmen, and what year is Harburg now? Is it a junior?
I think he's a junior.
Junior, redshirt. He's not a redshirt sophomore.
Year. I think he was a redshirt sophomore last year, so I think he's going into his
junior year. Yeah. So we still have like a young old team. The depth. We have a lot of depth. But hey, we say that. Thank you for helping me with my next point, which was we say that. But how many times did we see guys that were freshmen last year, true freshmen, step up and play last year?
Jalen, Malachi.
Yeah. I mean, even on the defensive side, guys rolling, and even at the end of the year, we had guys that were out there, like playing. Like Vincent Carroll Jackson even got some playing time at the end of the year. He was on our show last year early on, right after he signed. And super nice kid. I would tell his mom that she needs to change the batteries in her smoke alarms because those kept going off during the whole thing. It's and he's coming back now. So like all these guys with playing time that were still red shirts because they only got 3 games or 4 games, right?
Very cool.
And then now they're coming back, so they're going to be red shirt freshmen. The depth that we have, the amount of rotation that White uses on the defense, especially on the line, right? I mean, we see Nash out there for 20, 30 plays.
Plenty.
That might even be like, we only might see 10 more plays than that during the season for those guys, right? So this could be like what we see as a real rotation on defense. Now, Rule said that tomorrow's going to be a shootout, right? And we're going to see some guys sprinting down the field and making some catches and all that. And I mean, if some of those...
I'm all about it.
Yeah, if some of those...
young kids, Demetrius Bell, Jalen Lloyd.
Yeah, like those kids.
Got some wheels.
Some of those
you're going to see
throws,
how fast the DBs are, too.
Yeah.
So you got some speed there.
Yeah. I think, there's going to be a good rotation in the backfield. I mean, I can't even keep up with everyone that's on the team anymore either. I was looking the other day. I'm like, okay, I recognize like half the names from the guys that like whose names were called a lot.
He's looking now.
I am looking at the roster. It's literally right in front of me on my phone, and I'm looking. I mean, like, and there are names that like we're not hearing in spring right now in the practices, right? That like we heard a lot last year. Like all of a sudden, like nobody's like going, "Oh, what are we going to see from Fedoni?" You know what I mean? Like nobody's saying stuff like that anymore because now he's just a guy. He's out there. He's not the guy yet.
Something tells me he's been making plays. They're just not talking about him.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And what about like the other highly touted freshman recruits like Benning? You know what I mean? Like that, are we going to see, Caleb tomorrow? I don't know if he's on campus. And that's the other thing too.
Good question. I don't know either. He's just up the road in Omaha. So
yeah,
I would think I thought he was going to be an early enrolee, but maybe he's not until the summer. Maybe that's
and I don't know. And it's so hard to tell because a lot of these kids, they don't have numbers yet.
Right.
Either, so it's
they're listed on the roster. They just don't have numbers. So that tells me they're probably not practicing and they're probably fall.
Yeah,
fall guys.
Maybe yeah, because Landon Davidson and I were talking last week. He's one of our offensive tackle recruits, right?
From Colorado.
He's from Broomfield, Colorado. Yep. This kid, and I'm going to show you a picture. It's terrible podcasting on this, but him and I chat a lot.
This isn't a real podcast. This is an impromptu.
It is impromptu, but
we're going to make a podcast.
Look at that kid right now.
Yeah,
yoked. He is yoked is to say the least. He's all of like 6'4", 6'5", 300 plus pounds, and he is absolutely yoked. He looks like Hulk.
Yep.
He looks like a Hulk. If you painted him green and shaved his head, he would be the Hulk right now. He could be Bruce Banner.
Wouldn't like Landon when he's angry.
No. And the thing is too is like most guys that size, right? He's like the biggest teddy bear. It's funny because I feel like a little kid when I stand next to him.
Right.
And but he was telling me he's gonna be there tomorrow, but he's not gonna be officially on campus till June 1st.
Okay.
So that could be the case for some of these other guys. I mean, kids want to graduate high school and they want to walk with their friends and they want to
being yoked like that. He's doing that stuff on his own.
Well,
I mean, Corey's probably sent him a workout plan.
Yeah.
But is he working out on campus at all at any?
You should see the facilities that these high schools have now, man.
Oh, sure.
Oh my God. Yeah. Brighton High School. So I went out there for the day that he announced and so the athletic director at the school was all excited that I was coming out. He's like, "Oh, I caught up on a couple of the podcasts. They told me you were going to be coming." And I was like, "Okay, that's weird, but cool." And he's like, "Would you like a tour of the facilities?" So he showed me those gyms, man. University of Northern Colorado has a nice newish gym that they put in a workout facility for their football team. It's like this separate little building that's behind the practice fields over there. And I would say that the high school is equivalent to what they have there. I mean, they've got pressure plated, squat racks, stuff where. So the answer to your question is, yeah, I'm sure he's getting workouts in, but like when I was there, he had a whole team behind him. I mean, his family and friends. It's almost like a production crew. It felt like, and they were all really, really nice people, but they're all, that's the thing about these student athletes that I don't think a lot of people realize right now is that there's a lot of families that invest a lot of time for their children for these sort of the opportunities. And especially today with all the social media and everything else that everyone's dealing with. But I'm finding the kids his age. I have a son that's going to be 17 in June. I have another one who's 23. It's like how little social media they have on their phones now. Like my son has TikTok on his phone, but he's not recording TikToks or doing it. He just doom scrolls, so I call it. He deleted Snapchat off his phone. They have Facebooks, but they don't use them and they deleted it off their phone. They have Instagram and they just keep the Instagram so that dad can post pictures of them and tag them, So it's almost like reversing effect, right? It's like now you and I use it. So if mom and dad are using it, it's just not cool anymore, right? So, mom and dad, stay on social media so that your kids will quit. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely Gen X,
Definitely.
Yeah, but
kids are realizing today that connection is more important one-on-one than it is.
I sure hope so, man. And
that's a good thing.
And my son finally got a girlfriend, which is great.
Very cool.
Yeah, and she's the sweetest thing. I do have to say though, and this is a big announcement to the world, but her mom and dad are Iowa fans, and her mom went to see CU.
We'll live with it.
So Brad and Michelle, if you guys ever do watch this, because you did say that you'd watch stuff on there, I'm sorry. I really do like you guys a lot. I don't know if we can work through this.
Y'all need to fix yourselves.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Brad's from Iowa.
Yeah, totally understandable.
Yeah, but
I mean, it's unfixable. It's what it is.
It is.
You just have to learn, patience, tolerance.
It's like you can't fix stupid. You can't fix Iowa.
You can't fix Iowa.
Yeah,
it sucks.
Yeah, you can't fix CU.
Their corn's even worse. So.
Yeah, so she'll send me her mom. She'll send me like pictures of like during basketball season. She would like just send me memes of like Caitlin Clark, and I'm like, oh God, like this is hard.
You know what? We've already given Iowa too much airtime.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. You're right. Sorry.
I appreciate the honesty, and I appreciate you sharing your heart.
Thank you.
And the brokenness that you
kind of like
right
what
now,
this is what you're going to be working on this weekend too, but with your wife.
But with my wife.
Yeah. So spring game though. I like how you bring me back.
You need a wrangler, Rob. That's
I do.
Generally, your role on the Redcast too is the one that. When I see Dave look to the ceiling and then look back down, I know in any minute he's going to say, "Okay, Rob."
Yes.
And you make him do that a lot, which is fine.
Yeah.
I think it's a great role.
Yeah.
I think it's a great role you play. I think the show is better than ever. Spring game, offense, defense. Kenny Bell posted on X/Twitter, whatever the hell we're calling it these days.
I still call it Twitter.
The MVP. Because he's going to be in the BTN booth this weekend.
Yes.
So he was asking for MVPs. I put Fedoni and who the hell did I put for two offensive guys and two defensive guys. I put Vincent Shavers Jr. and I think MJ Sherman on defense.
You're gonna make me look at
Bly Hill and MJ Sherman is who I said, or not MJ, but Bly Hill and Vincent Shavers Jr. to look for on defense, and then tight end Thomas Fedoni, and maybe it was Demetrius Bell.
Okay.
On offense. Something to that effect as possible MVP candidates to look at.
Okay.
Who would you have that's not named Malachi, not named Dylan, not named Daniel, not named...
Well, I wouldn't even say Malachi at this point either because I think he's still green shirting.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. He is no contract.
Yeah.
And he's got to come up with a different number because you can't have two number 15.
I think my answer to this too, and it's kind of a cop-out, was I just hope they all have fun because it is a spring game after all.
If they're playing shootout, it should be fun.
And if they're playing shootout, it should be fun, which is why that. Now, are we going to see guys like Willis McGahee the fourth? Like, are we going to see those kids out there? You know what I mean? Like, Like on the defensive side.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I would think so.
Yeah,
I think you're seeing a lot of true freshmen this.
Yeah,
this
you would definitely think so. I think the guy that we're going to see, I think like. Kalen, like it would be, I'm actually more excited to watch him play tomorrow than I am Raiola. And I know that sounds stupid, but like if Raiola plays great and he comes out and he looks like a 5-star, that's not going to impress me because I expect it of him, right?
But if Danny comes out and
looks like a 4 or 5-star kind of guy and is like reading, the offense and the defense and looks like he belongs out there, it's going to make things interesting, and I'm rooting for a quarterback competition. I hope we come out of tomorrow arguing over who should be the starter.
Not knowing.
Yeah, I do.
And the fact that
and I know I avoided your question about who's going to be the MVPs, but at the same time, it's like I hate because every year there's somebody that looks so good in the spring game, right? And I think Ravi and Benning talked about it on their show this morning. I was listening when I woke up, but those guys. Always like, they hit it on the head. It's like, there's always one or two guys that look so great in the spring game and then you never hear from them again. Like, and then they end up in the transfer portal or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like, oh, well, that's why they're playing so well. It was like almost like
They're
auditioning for free agency. So it's so hard to tell. So I mean, I'm serious when I say that. I just hope everyone goes out there and is like playing hard and make it a real game. And I hope we come out of here and we still have a quarterback competition where people are going, I think he should be the starter because he has the experience. I think he should be the starter because if we're going to truly do a rebuild here, then, Ryle has to be the guy. And then, but then you need Kalen to be playing well because
you need a backup.
There has not been a starting quarterback at Nebraska that has finished the season in every game. I mean,
2017.
Even Harburg went out injured a couple times last year, and Sims had to come back in. Yeah, you know what I mean?
You know why Tanner Lee made it an entire season? I said this on a previous show. It's because he completed more passes to the other team than he did his own. So he had no chances of getting hit very often.
Yeah, that is fair. That is fair. And the thing is, this year too, you want to know what I really want to see? I want to see what does the offensive line look like tomorrow.
Me too. Yep.
That for me is the biggest question mark on the team. And I know that there's going to be improvement along there. We have like 18 guys on the offensive line now that are on the roster. That is a lot. Now, how many of those guys play? Probably 10.
It'd be really nice if he knew he had 8 to 10 guys he could rely on to rotate in and out.
Yeah.
And Robbie mentioned this on the show that we watched, that you watched as well, that we did, in the fact that we're kind of getting to a point now where we've got not a whole lot of difference in skill level between top guys and the lower guys on the roster. It's very reminiscent of the 90s, just at a different athletic level.
Oh, God, don't invoke that.
No, it's, hey, we need to invoke that.
We need to, yeah. I say don't invoke that as like, oh my God, that's a lot of pressure to put on these kids. But, you're right, though. The depth that we've got.
I'm hearing a siren.
I hear a siren, too. I hope everybody's okay. Yeah. Yeah. But, I think that
go ahead.
As you go check to see who's walking around in the room back there. But I think that one of the things that
that's one of my boys.
We pointed it out. We pointed it out a couple times already here is that the depth on the roster. Mm-hmm. I can't remember if we were talking about that on the show or before the show because I'm old and so I forget things. But the depth on the roster right now is the biggest component to the way that Rule manages everything. And 2 guys off the roster in December again. Nobody in the transfer portal. So it's like all of a sudden, how many scholarships are we at, and like what are we going to do with these kids, and we're going to see some kids go into the portal after this game. Now, unfortunately, a lot of those kids too, it's like, I wish we could figure out ways to keep them here.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And keep them on the roster without a scholarship. But, because where are you going to go? A lot of these kids, like, they're not going to find a home once they go in there. And like, I don't know. It's just hard. The way college football is now is, I get it. I understand why it happened that way. So many people were calling for it for years. I was probably one of them included. But at the same time, like, it's got to get figured out, especially, with that. But yeah, it's going to be fun to see. I'm going to go out there. If it's 70 and rainy, I'm still going to be out there with my jacket on at the game. Like, I'm not.
It was miserable last year. It was so cold.
I wouldn't know. I was in
the whole time.
I was in the press box. So last year for the game. So I could see Honky and Dave sitting in their seats. And then about halftime, they took off and left. I stayed up in the press box. Free food, hanging out, chatting with Sam and Sip, hanging out. Food. Yeah. So, got to meet a bunch of the guys that we like to talk trash about on social media, you know. But
love Sip though.
Yeah, oh my gosh. He is
figure out how to get him in here.
He's just a good guy. And honestly, I owe Sam a whole lot of credit because after that game, I was sitting down with all the people in the press at the press conference afterwards. And I said to Sam, and I was like, hey, Sam, can you ask Sims this question? And he said, no, you ask it. Mm-hmm. And then like right when the time was like where he kind of elbowed me and I had to ask the question and, and I had the time and I did. And then, and it made
Sam that made you do it.
Yeah. And it made it onto the Big Ten network. And I was like, oh my God, what just happened here? So
I was listening. I went back and listened to that because you can catch anything on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I was like, listen, honey. And she's like, what? I said, that was Redcast Rob that just asked that question. She goes, oh, that was actually a pretty good question.
Yeah.
I said, yeah.
Well, I was really hoping that it was a preview to what we were going to see a lot of, and we did
Sure.
see him do that, which was it was a play in the spring game last year. For those that don't recall, where he basically dropped back and the Red Sea parted right in front of him, and he dropped it down and ran it right in. He took a hit and he still made it in the end zone. And I asked him if that was a called run or if it was something that he just saw, and he said it was something he just saw. So I was like, oh, that's exciting, because like that's the kind of guy that everyone at Nebraska wants to see.
Sure.
And you could say he fumbled that opportunity.
Literally.
Yes.
Quite literally. Fumbled. Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. Is there anything else we want to talk about? We didn't want to go too long here.
I think we're
so
good.
too.
We got about a half hour in.
Yeah.
We've got sirens going on outside. And according to Scott, we've been kind of texting back and forth. He canceled. He was going to go to a doctor's appointment for his wife who's pregnant. And got about.
Why would he want to do that?
She's got about 4 weeks and she's due.
Oh, God.
So
okay.
They were going to go to an appointment. They canceled it 30 minutes ago because of the sirens.
Are those sirens the tornado sirens?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So it's a good thing we're in the basement, my friend.
It is.
So, yeah. Special tornado episode of Generation Red.
I may be hanging out here longer than I thought I was going to be hanging out here, quite frankly.
If nobody ever sees this video, you'll know why.
Yes. The last thing of us ever recording.
Last thing we've ever done is hang out in the studio with Redcast Rob.
Yeah, well, you know what? It could be worse.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah,
this is true.
It could be worse.
Anyway, folks, thanks for watching.
Yeah,
thanks for listening. We appreciate it. Thanks for coming over, Rob. This has been an absolute hoot.
God, thanks for having me, man. I mean, you've extended this invitation years ago, literally.
Any seat around this table, if you're in town, is always open. Man. You just got to let me know, and we'll come down here and we'll hang out, have some fun.
And I have to say that I believe you when you say that. Yeah. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for anybody who's watching and said, get him to sign the sign, you keep forgetting to have people sign the sign. Well, he already signed it. I didn't forget.
Yeah,
so
I did.
It's already signed. It's right there.
Yep, it's there.
Thanks again, everybody, for watching, for listening. Here's hoping the tornado and whatever weather's going through blows through quickly. And if you're watching this, hopefully you were safe.
Yeah.
And until next time, I'm Ken. I'm only one half of Generation Red. That's my honorary co-host, Redcast Rob. He's now officially part of Generation Red. Together, we absolutely love Husker football because there's nothing like it. And we are chronicling their eventual return to greatness, one podcast at a time.
GBR.
GBR. We will see you all later. God bless and go Big Red.
All right.